This paper attempts to understand how bias arises in science, and more generally, how values guide scientific inquiry. And it examines whether we should find differences between the natural and social sciences as far as bias and values go. And I argue that there aren't major differences. I start by using motivated reasoning as a framework for understanding how values guide scientific inquiry, and that's whether it's in good or bad ways. And I think that this does reveal a parity thesis. It shows that values influence both the natural and social sciences about equally. And that's particularly because there are these different kinds of motivations that arise in all areas of science. And in particular, I like to highlight the role of the desire for social credit and status. So I start with this taxonomy of motivated reasoning. And what I want to do there is show that it's actually a very broad phenomenon. We often think of motivated reasoning in a pejorative sense as reasoning that's more like wishful thinking. It's driven by motivations that aren't relevant to truth or knowledge. But motivated reasoning is just reasoning driven by any kind of motivation, and that includes a desire for truth or knowledge. Moreover, this kind of reasoning can be influenced before decisions made or after decisions made, so both ante hoc and post hoc. So it's actually a wide range of phenomena that it can capture. And then what I want to examine is what kinds of motivations do influence science. And I propose four ultimate goals or intrinsic motivations. There's knowledge, of course, that's a major one. There's also ideology. Sometimes scientific inquiry in both the natural and social sciences is driven by certain ideologies. But more importantly, I think there's the desire for social credit or status or recognition among one's peers. We are deeply social creatures that plays a major role in the scientific process. And I think it accounts for a lot of what's been going on with the replication crisis. But then there's also the desire for profit, which of course leads to conflicts of interest and so forth. Those are much more familiar. And I think once those things are in place, we have these two subclaims that we can make. One is the susceptibility claim that all of these different kinds of motivations and the values behind them can influence both natural and social science, including even the ideology motive. And then I emphasize this minority claim, which says that the ideology motive is actually not all that powerful or pervasive, especially compared to the profit and credit motives, which I think are much more powerful. And those, of course, arise in both natural and social science. So I think this just reveals that values influence all areas of science in very pervasive ways, and that this helps to understand how that works.